Every species has a birthplace. But when humans decide to move them, to fix a problem, to create a resource, or just for a taste of home, the results are rarely what they planned. We call them invasive species. But the story isn't always black and white. Today, we dive into the land wars, the ultimate gamble of biological introduction. We're pitting 8 species that became catastrophic backfires against 8 non-natives that became essential utilities, the bedrock of our modern world. Get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of the planet's newest, and most dangerous, landowners. Small Indian mongoose. Its main purpose of introduction was to control rats in sugarcane fields, late 1800s. However, the rats are nocturnal and arboreal, the mongoose is diurnal and terrestrial. The mongoose instead decimated slow-moving, endemic, and ground-nesting native fauna, birds, reptiles, amphibians. So they had to damage control, and eradications on small islands have led to the rapid recovery of endangered native birds and reptiles. It is a proven, if difficult, long-term conservation win. Cane toad, introduced to Australia, 1935, to control native sugarcane beetles. Again, failed to control beetles, but its potent toxin kills native predators, snakes, quolls, monitor lizards, in its path, leading to local extinctions and a fundamental shift in predator ecology. Kudzu, introduced to southern U.S., 1876, for erosion control and as livestock forage. Its aggressive growth, up to 1 foot per day, smothers native plants and entire forests by blocking sunlight, leading to monoculture landscapes and biodiversity collapse. With an ordeal, they can be eliminated successfully using grazing, herbicides or fire, and this generally allows native plant communities to rebound, but the extensive root crowns make removal a decades-long, expensive effort. Feral pig, introduced worldwide, as domestic livestock, simply as food source for settlers and hunting. The widespread rooting and wallowing destroys native vegetation, promotes invasive weeds, preys on ground-nesting birds, and contaminates water sources. Major vector for diseases like swine fever. Reduction, and I'll not say removal, is critical for biodiversity, especially on islands. Brown tree snake, introduced to Guam, post-World War II, funny story, an accidental stowaway in military cargo shipping. It proved to be a menace as it wiped out 10 of 12 native forest bird species on Guam, a phenomenon known as avian extirpation. It causes massive power outages by climbing utility poles. European rabbit, introduced to Australia 1859 for hunting and nostalgia. The nostalgia became a nightmare. Uncontrolled population booms devastated native flora through overgrazing, leading to massive soil erosion and competition with native marsupials for limited resources. Biological control, like the myxoma virus, has dramatically reduced their population, leading to the regrowth of native vegetation and recovery of small mammal populations, though recovery is slow and requires constant maintenance. Asian longhorned beetle, introduced to North America and Europe via accidental stowaway in untreated wooden packaging. The larvae bore into and kill numerous species of hardwood trees, maple, elm, ash, threatening urban forests and lumber industries. Requires the complete destruction of infested trees to control. Since it kills host trees, eradication or strict control is essential to preserve specific tree species and prevent ecological shifts in forests. Chestnut blight, introduced to North America late 1800s to early 1900s. An accidental entry from imported Japanese chestnut trees, nearly wiped out the American chestnut, Castanea dentata, one of the most important hardwood trees in the eastern U.S. forests, profoundly altering the forest structure and depriving wildlife of a major food source. The damage is irreversible as the species is functionally extinct in its native range. The focus is on genetic engineering, introducing a resistance gene from Asian chestnuts to reintroduce a functional chestnut, not on removing the blight itself. Part 2. Established introductions with major human/ecosystem utility. These species are non-native, spread aggressively, and do have negative ecological impacts, such as competition, but are now fundamentally integrated into human infrastructure or agriculture, or provide critical ecosystem services that are difficult to replace. European honeybee, introduced to North America, 1600s, Australia for wax, honey production, and crop pollination. Essential pollinator for billions of dollars in global crops, almonds, apples, squash, etc. Wild colonies also provide supplemental pollination services in many natural areas. Removing them would collapse a massive portion of the commercial agricultural industry. Earthworms, introduced to northern North America as intentional for angling bait and improving soil by the settlers. Essential for soil health in many temperate farmlands, aerating soil, accelerating decomposition, and increasing nutrient cycling in disturbed areas. Their removal from managed agricultural land would devastate modern farming productivity. However, in undisturbed native forests, like those in the upper U.S., Canada, they destroy the vital, thick leaf litter layer required by native plants and invertebrates. Bermuda grass, introduced worldwide, for turfing, cattle forage and erosion control. It provides highly nutritious and drought-resistant forage for livestock. Removing it would be impossible on a global scale. In dry regions, its removal would lead to massive soil erosion in areas currently stabilized for human use. Ring-necked pheasant, introduced to Europe, North America, etc. as a popular game bird for hunting and for its ornamental beauty. Removal would primarily impact the recreational hunting economy, so it must be done. Ecologically, it would reduce competition for resources with native ground birds, allowing them to recover. Alfalfa, introduced worldwide, as the world's most valuable forage crop for dairy and beef cattle. As a legume, it fixes atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, reducing the need for synthetic fertilizers in crop rotation. Removing this from global agriculture would cause a massive spike in livestock feed costs and require a dramatic increase in synthetic nitrogen fertilizer production. Norway rat, introduced worldwide due to accidental stowaway on ships. In urban settings, they consume vast quantities of human food waste, which can limit the spread of other, more dangerous pests attracted to the garbage. While they consume waste, their long-term impact as a vector for disease, plague, leptospirosis, and a predator of native wildlife, especially on islands, makes their presence overwhelmingly negative. This one is arguably 99% backfire, but their role in urban waste management is a horrible utility. Eucalyptus trees, introduced worldwide for timber, pulpwood, essential oils, and fast-growing ornamental trees. Essential for the global paper and pulp industry and reforestation efforts in many countries, Brazil, Portugal. Provides fast shade in urban areas. Long-term removal is desirable in many invaded regions, California, due to high flammability and high water use, but it would have a major economic cost to the global paper timber industries. Starling, introduced to North America, 1890 Central Park, by Shakespeare enthusiasts. Purpose, to introduce all birds mentioned in Shakespeare's works to North America. Consumes vast amounts of insect pests in agricultural fields, providing a beneficial control service in some areas. Hay are aggressive competitors with native cavity-nesting birds, like bluebirds and woodpeckers, displacing them from nests. Removal would be a net gain for native bird biodiversity. Giant African land snail, they are a major pest, known to eat over 500 different types of plants, including most vegetables, fruits, and ornamental plants. They carry the rat lungworm parasite which can affect the brain and cause severe meningitis. Their slime and bodies can also carry various bacteria and fungi. Spread originally from East Africa and are now a problem in Asia, the Pacific and Florida. One can achieve localized eradication, complete removal from your property, using boiling water to kill them or sprinkling salt on their site and infestation. Remember, they are hermaphrodites, so they don't need no female to reproduce. The overall invasive species is yet to be fully eradicated from the region, so vigilance is required. So, be careful if fooling around with them. They also demonstrate cannibalistic behavior when no nutrients are available. If a fellow snail dies, they will consume them, and they also feed from plaster of civil sites and pillars, walls. The legacy of an invasive species like one of the top-ranked giant African snail is that of a permanent systemic risk.